Hello all, welcome to the Lunar Sea Spire Cartoon Fan Podcast. This is episode 299, and today we'll be talking about Mortimer to the Rescue from Craig of the Creek. I'm GC13.
And I'm David.
So, Craig of the Creek was again the big winner in May, and I thought we should talk about the episode that got the highest ratings of the bunch. 411,000. No other weekly premiere beat it.
Yeah, I love seeing Craig of the Creek do so well on Cartoon Network. They also recently released like a batch of episodes, and one of the creators on there sort of talked about how, as we learned with Steven Universe, the crew that works on the show has no direct connection to when the episodes get released, but they were talking about, yeah, it didn't feel quite like the right time to be having new episodes on the air, but they still kind of wanted to say that they were really appreciated the work on the show and kind of, lauded all the Black creators that helped make the show possible. And so it's an interesting moment for Craig of the Creek, where all these networks are sort of, now, like my Twitter feed, at least since I follow so many creatives and artists, it's full of like companies now being like, oh, okay, now we're saying that we want to help support Black artists, and it makes you feel kind of like, thanks companies for saying things now, but you should have been doing it the whole time. But at least I feel like Nickelodeon Cartoon Network, although there's a lot of problematic things, there's shows and creators showing that some good things have been going on the whole time. So Craig of the Creek, thanks for still keeping the ratings high and having so many wonderful people working on it. And this episode is a beautiful showcase of everything that's wonderful about Craig of the Creek.
The mighty falcon Mortimer.
Yeah, huge character development for a character I did not think would get any, and we're getting into basically Avatar levels of animal intelligence, where, Appa, that was a unique characteristic of Avatar. Appa could always seemingly understand anything that any of the characters talk to him about.
That happens a lot in cartoons.
Well, animal intelligence is interesting. Like, they played with that in Avatar. Like Momo had a whole episode where Katara was trying to get Momo to get them some medicine and or some water. And, Momo had no idea what they were saying, but Appa always seemed to be able to take any command. Obviously, knew how to fly places and was highly intelligent.
Wasn't Momo able to figure out that they wanted something? Momo just couldn't quite figure out what?
Yeah, Momo brought Katara everything except water. But even in that follow-up series, like, they've shown animals have varying level of intelligence, right? Like Korra had a polar bear dog, and that, just acted like a dog and was not like Appa. So this world that Craig lives in, we've talked before, I think when we talked about, I forget the name, about the future boy. What's that guy's
Deltron
name? Yeah. Future Deltron. He sort of bends the rules a little bit. Like we couldn't quite tell in that episode, it, like, yeah, the children live in a world of pretend, but it maybe he was from the future. Who knows? Because a lot of things happen in this episode that push cartoon logic, and moments where normal cartoon logic would apply, like Craig trying to propel their raft across the water. He's like, I don't know, I saw it in cartoons. I thought,
Yeah, he's like, hey, I watch a lot of cartoons, which is hilarious because of the cartoon physics that were involved in his plans in the last episode we talked about, Crisis at Elder Rock.
Yeah, cartoon logic frequently fails Craig, but yet we had apparently Wildernessa's dog Cheesesticks has a Danny Phantom season 4 howling power.
Alpha howl, yes.
Yes, it has alpha howl. And how on earth would that, fit in? Like, Craig of the Creek never explicitly says that it's the children's imagination. Like, it never shows a situation happening and then shows you, like, the, another realistic perspective, right? Like, it doesn't show you both the imaginary thing happening and the real thing happening. It just happens. And so, how did they? Like, they got out of the water. Wildernessa is what saved them. And it seems like it was achieved through a bark. So the world they live in is a little magical, a little special.
That howl was very powerful. I mean, when I saw that, I'm like, whoa, was that their soul leaving their body? And then they specifically called attention. It wasn't just one, it was all three of them.
Yeah, well, and then JP says, it was cool how your dog made our souls leave our body.
So yeah, Cheesesticks straight up killed all three of them.
Yeah, that makes me question exactly how much is imagination and
And then, of course, you have, you were talking about animal intelligence. What about how Wildernessa is able to understand Mortimer?
Yeah, I know. She straight up doolittled a whole thing. Now, she did think also that Mortimer was telling her that they were, being taken over by the moss and becoming zombies. And, maybe you could interpret that scene as that she had the same amount of insight as Tony, that one scout who was hilariously prescient. Like, he was like, oh, Mortimer's not with Kelsey? That must mean that they're trapped in somewhere. So, maybe she's just that intelligent, but...
She was acting like she understood what Mortimer was saying, but then this is Wildernessa. She definitely would do that anyway, so, okay, I see your point.
Right, like a child could be playing pretend in the wilderness, and that's why, maybe you get, the goofy interpretation at the end, but, I mean, with the dog howl... I think we're supposed to question their reality a little bit, and I think that
happens a lot on Craig of the Creek.
Yeah, I like that characteristic of it, because it definitely separates it from, like, a modern Cartoon Network like Clarence. Clarence's world is very much a kid's world that's, realistic. Like, he does goofy things, but you're not going to have these weird physics. And, like, Hey Arnold would do things like have alternate dream sequences, and there was a lot of, like, you would see Arnold's imagination play out, but the things that happened were very grounded. But here, they're really trying to give that anything can happen in the creek feeling, which, by the way, the whole not landscape.
Boris dug.
The hole is one thing. The swamp, the moss environment,
the algae abyss.
That, if we really want to put on our lore hats here, they just kind of briefly mentioned that something could be hidden in the algae. I think long term, as we build out these locations, I feel like the Steven Universe writers in Ben Levin and Matt Burnett. Like, I feel them, placing this mossy pit in front of us, algae pit in front of us, and saying, what if we came back here and something is hidden, in the algae? I think there's an opportunity for this location to become important again as we fill out the history of the creek.
I definitely felt the exact same thing. That's what I was saying. I want them to come back to the algae abyss and there to be something cool going on there. I love the nickname, the Fool's Field.
Yeah, that itself is almost like a Steven Universia ancient gem location.
Okay, now you're thinking of Buddy Budwick's journal, the Steeple of Hubris.
Yeah, no, this is exactly like a Buddy's location.
I love how Mortimer's like, oh, hey, I'll go to the Forest Scouts. And the Forest Scouts are like, possible cry for help? Nah. Well, Jason was.
Those scouts are interesting. The show doesn't do stereotypes very much with their characters. They kind of do it with the elders. But man, these scouts are definitely your stereotypical, how you would normally portray like nerdy scouts in a cartoon. They do not stray away from those very tight archetypes of like the kid with braces who just talk like this, and you have the what is it? It's called Iliism. Like the Boris kid just refers to himself as Boris the whole time. There's a whole like characters that are like large dudes who just refer to themselves in the third person because apparently they're like not conscious of themselves as a self in first person. That's a weird stereotype. But it's funny.
You know what my favorite thing about the interaction with the scouts was? How Jason was ready to kill Mortimer because Mortimer took his wildlife conservation badge. Oh, the irony of it.
Kill? Was he out to kill Mortimer?
I mean, Mortimer is a very fragile bird. I don't think that he can grab him without causing severe damage.
Oof.
I mean, I guess he could have the defense that Mortimer is a pet store bird and therefore does not count as wildlife, but I really do think it goes against the spirit of the merit badge.
Meanwhile, Boris definitely took the latrine merit badge to Spirit because that was an overzealously dug hole. I really like that gag at the end that they're just still stuck in the hole. And that is a deep hole. I mean, the creek is a dangerous place for these children. Like, that algae looks like you could drown in it, like quicksand. And
How did he not hit the water table with that? Like, that's I'm amazed.
Oh, right.
Like, he's right by the creek.
That's true. It does seem like they could also be at risk of drowning.
Nope, that was a dry hole more than 10 feet, easy.
Yeah, they should have been bruised up more. 10-foot drop.
The scouts do a lot of fitness training, I'm sure, so they're tougher than your average creek kid.
This episode, though, it has a nice round structure for Mortimer. I really like that it's framed with Mortimer starting in front of the mirror and ending, back in front of his little mirror in his cage and flexing his new falcon confidence in front of it. And even the, dog, he has a dog motivating him. He was scared of a dog and now he's, overcome it. That was just like a cute little arc.
Yeah, the book ending between, him being afraid of Cerberus and him overcoming his fear of Cheesesticks was also quite nice for Mortimer's personal journey.
I didn't know that we would have a personal journey for Kelsey's, parakeet, but here we are. We're also at the point in the show where the characters are self-aware of some of their more cartoony aspects, like the fact that everyone has an iconic accessory.
Oh, I'm so glad they called back to the whole my iconic accessory.
I do think though that JP is wrong. It's not his long sleeves that are his iconic accessory. It's his frequent shirtlessness. That is because they really. I feel like I haven't seen every Craig of the Creek episode, but I feel like for all the ones we do watch, JP's shirt just comes off. He lives a bare life, and good for him. But yeah.
But what I liked, you know how last time we're like, call somebody, call the fire department. Yeah, I guess again we know why they didn't want to call the fire department to rescue from the algae abyss. But I did appreciate that they were looking at their phones to try to get people to call them. It's just they're very insular and they happen to have nobody else's contact information. You think he could call home and be like, "Hey, Mom, can you get me Kit's phone number or something?"
Yeah, well, he can't call Mom because he can't let his mom know that the creek is a dangerous place.
Hey, Mom, I'm at the creek, but I'd really like to call Kit. Can you look her phone number up for me, please? Thanks.
That part, though, like, at least they addressed, oh, yeah, we know that two of them have cell phones, but the fact that they really have none of the other kids' phone numbers is a little surprising. Like, they're not that insane.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably an episode where that's proven to be wrong. Just statistically, that's probably happened, but hey, maybe it hasn't. I'm a bit off on my encyclopedic knowledge, you see.
Yeah. You could always use the excuse, are these episodes ever even, like, in order? I mean, are we guaranteed that the chronicles of Craig's life...
Yeah, how do we know that this episode didn't happen immediately after Wildernessa?
Yeah.
We don't know that.
Like, I mean, there's no... Now, if we see Mortimer being confident or not, maybe. There's not any definitive signs of chronology.
Yeah, you watch Mortimer bust out that fit falcon to defeat some terrible boss monster of the creek later. Continuity, baby.
I'm still hung up on Wildernessa's dog having superpowers. That
Alpha
Wildernessa, I mean, the thing is, that dog is already a freak of nature that wouldn't belong in our world. So I don't know. The fact, like, she's got this whole mystical thing going on, talking to animals and an animal with a superpower. We'll see how much farther they can stretch that.
Well, she's a druid, and he's her animal companion, so that might be where he gets the powers from. I would have figured he would be ranked up in barbarian, not in some kind of spellcaster class, so it must be from her druid powers.
Yeah.
Well, maybe ranger, but she has more of the... Yeah, maybe ranger. Same thing, though. You would think that Craig, of all of people, though, would have packed multiple paddles.
Yeah, this was not his most prepared moment, but Wildernessa calls him out on that. She's like, you don't know much about the wild or about rafts.
How rafts work. Is this all somehow Craig's fault? She does not like Craig, but at least she was right this time.
I don't know why, though. I don't know.
She must be crushing on him.
That, honestly, I had that same thought where I was like, this feels like that childhood, I'm picking on you, but it's because I like you. My favorite bit was the bit that Craig ends up calling out where he's like, but, Kelsey's like, oh, my hair, I haven't washed it in a while. Thanks for noticing, but you could mention it again.
I thought she said she hadn't got it cut in a while.
I thought she hadn't washed it in a while because she like flicks her hair back and then dandruff or something flies out of it. I don't know.
That sounds gross.
Well, the kids are kind of gross, but I just like that JP tries pulling the same thing, and Craig's like, I don't know what you guys are doing, but
just let him have this. That was out of nowhere, and I loved it for it.
Yeah, those little authentic moments of just, I don't know, they feel like they speak to very specific experiences, especially Craig snapping, but it's in Kelsey's ear, and Kelsey's like, that was really loud, Craig. Like you just know a writer's experience that.
Yeah, that was a healthy dose of reality. Watch where you snap, kids.
I was listening to this episode with headphones on, and that snap was very sharp. So it is, great sound design. Also hilarious sound design. The raft that Craig was trying to cover the hole, and you got a million, like fart noise, squealing sounds. That was some nice Foley. Excellent Foley work.
Good on you guys. Anyway, guys, that's been us on Mortimer to the Rescue. Join us next week. Until then, I'm GC13.
And I'm David. Leave us a review somewhere. It's going to be episode, 300 next week?
Yep.
Who knows? It could be a completely normal week. I don't think we've ever celebrated a milestone, but it is 300, so you never know. You never know.
Later, everybody. Our opening and closing music is by Mark Soto. For more cartoon-related content, please visit lunarceasefire.com.